First world, come in and take a seat. Pay us no attention, it's all conspiracy. We have satire and parody, some funny, some perverse. If none of it's offensive to you, you'd be the first.
The Immortal Mask, a 1970s superhero crime noir adventure that follows a retired soldier who is given a covenant interview with a death row inmate. What he learns from the interview thrusts him into Atlanta's shadowy underworld. He'll have to utilize his military training to survive from being hunted for the information that could topple the most powerful ruling class in the city. This is not a pre-order or a crowdfunding campaign. Get your books now at Nunneley.com.
Hey, yo, it's me, Pops Van Marmalade, and you're watching the Comics-Related Madness Network. Uh-huh. So come get some. CromCon. CromCon.
Seconds to curtain, folks.
Your favorite podcast is Critical Blast.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Nyriam Bond to the show.
What is
Now,
that?
I'm gonna ask that question because I should have asked this before the show, because I don't know whether Bonds is your last name or Bonds is the name of the book or both.
Well, that is the question. But no, it's just the name of the story. It's not even a name of a book. It's a name of a whole complex story because each book has it like a sub name. So yeah.
Okay, because I looked at the Indiegogo and it's like, who's the creator? Nyriam Bonds. I'm like, okay.
I know. Like my creator's name is Nyriam Nova, with W, and that's what I run with. But some sites have like problems with establishing your names, like something is taken and you need to add this, you need to add a blood of unicorn. So after many so after many combinations, I just Nyriam Bonds was something that was taking. Okay, fine, let's do this. Now, hi, Pops.
I can relate. So this is not so Bonds isn't the title of the book, but it's sort of a thematic tying of them together.
Technically, Bonds is one long story, which I outline into almost like 30 chapters, and every book consists of 4 of them, ish. So the first one was 1 to 4. The second book was like 5 to 9, 8. I don't know. I can do the math right now, so sorry. But yeah, technically it's just one long story, and each book has like a subtitle, so to summarize, what it's about.
All right. What is this your first not this book itself, but Bonds, is that your first foray into making comics?
Yes, actually it is. Originally it was supposed to be literature. I started writing it on Wattpad, and I think it had already like 10 chapters or so, because like I was just having fun with it. But then I learned from feedbacks that don't do this, you're not a native speaker, and you're not using language properly when you're writing, and you might actually come with some issues, with editing later on. So I just figured out that to switch to a medium that I have known my whole entire life. So I started transforming it into comics. Yeah.
Okay, so you've been familiar with comics your whole life. Do you remember your first comic? What got you into reading it, or?
Well, it wasn't actually a comic. It was a manga. And it was when I was about the teenage age, and it was Bleach. And I started like reading it online whenever I couldn't really afford to buy the comics back then, and like we were a country back then where the comics like that wouldn't ship easily. But I found a bunch of sites that would do the scanlations, so I would just desperately wait every single week for a new issue. I was like super hyped about it. But before that, I was more of a cartoon, and still am more of a like cartoon show and animations and fairy tales, the Disney classics. That's my style. That's the thing I love.
What country are you? Or where are you?
Yeah, I'm in Czech Republic. It's like 1 a.m. over here. I think everybody knows by now that I'm like from Europe, and it's a little bit later over here, but it's doable. It's a part of promoting a comic. So like if you're not ready to put the hard work in, then just don't even start.
Yeah, I can slightly relate to that, because I'm in the U.S., but I sometimes have to stay up till midnight or 1 o'clock so I can talk to the post office in Australia on the phone and get some things straightened out. So yeah, you gotta work in a 24-hour world these days.
Yeah. But thankfully, it's very, very easier, and like very easy compared to before.
Well, we have an active chat out here waiting to hear from you. Mike Walters has dropped in to say hi and like the stream, and we appreciate that. Pops has also shown up here. It's we're simulcasting on his network. In fact, we're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going out to 8 different channels right now as we talk. So we are all over the place.
Wow.
Only 2 YouTubes, because YouTube gets picky when you start picking more than 2 channels.
Unbelievable.
Excuse me. So we're out on Facebook. We're out on Twitch. We're out on Twitter. One of these days we'll have an Instagram live too. I think we can do that if we tie it together right.
Wow, you know how to do it right.
Heroinberg is out here answering all my questions. He's got the link to the campaign, which by the way, folks, if you don't see it because it's scrolled up, it's right below the video as well. Click it anytime. Go out to Indiegogo, throw some money at this thing. You will still, it'll go in a new window. You will still be able to hear everything's being said. So, we've got you covered there. And of course, he's telling me where you're from before I'm asking you where you're from.
Yes, I bet she's very proud of it. I'm proud of it. I'm from Slovakia. You got it right. That's totally right. Czech Republic is like a country next to it. We used to be Czechoslovakia. We're like neighbors. So people are just used to like travel across the countries. And right now I moved here because of a job. And the place where I live, my brother lives here too. So it's a nice place. It's a fairly big city, but. I'm staying here currently. Maybe I'm gonna stay for a few more years. Who knows?
I remember when when Czechoslovakia became Slovakia and the Czech Republic. Things are always changing.
You're actually one of the few.
Steady. Of course, Mike figured it out just from the way you said Nova for your last name there, because he saw the W and heard the V, and instantly.
I still have problems with like, I know I'm a teacher of English, so I know like theoretically where to use what, but sometimes like when you start speaking fast and blah 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 blah, that's when like things get mixed up a little bit. So yeah.
I took 3 years of Latin, so I'm used to pronouncing my V's as W's. I go the other way. It's a habit. You get into it, and you don't realize you're even doing it. So, what was the moment then when bonds entered your mind, and you're like, this is something I need to write down? Was there something you saw that triggered this? Was it just kind of slowly percolating around?
Yeah, it was actually both. It was start of 2020. That's when the COVID hit our country, the probably the hardest, and before that I was getting a little bit bored because, it was winter and there wasn't really much to do, and it was, the news were already spreading. So I pretty much spent most of my time like reading, stories everywhere. That's how I spent my evenings. And I read these werewolf stories on Wattpad, and like some of them were really, really good. And I knew I had a story that I really wanted to write of my own. And I was thinking like, okay, let's try to tie it with this like werewolf, ranking and werewolf mythology that they're using in their books. And I really loved the outcome, So as 2020 hit, we got out of lockdown. I kind of managed to like just start working on the world building, on the characters and everything. I'm sorry. Later on, I managed to like start working on a first page that was July 2020, as I was a teacher back then, and I was literally waiting for the summer break. So as the summer break started, I spent almost every day drawing. I got a lot of complaining about it because there was anything else I was doing. But to be honest, I like pumped out the first book in span of 4 months. I was like so happy to do it that, yeah.
So was there a lot of research into werewolf mythology, and did you have to pick and choose like, okay, this is mythology, but it doesn't really fit with what I'm doing, so I'm ignoring that?
Yes.
Because it all conflicts. One thing of werewolf mythology that I've never seen anybody touch on is it's always, there's this bond, so to speak, between a werewolf and a full moon. Like, there's a full moon, that's the werewolf. And what I've never seen any movie or book do is realize that when it's a full moon, it's during the day too. I've seen the moon out. We've all seen the moon out in the middle of the day because that's,
yeah.
Is he a wolf in the middle of the day if it's a full moon?
Well, to be honest, my wolves aren't affected by the moon at all.
Well, there you go.
They are
just throw that out entirely.
Yeah, they are basically like shapeshifters. So they change into their wolf form based on their will, on the need, and on impulse. Like the moon doesn't really do thing for them. They use it. There are some special occasions that are going to be also used in the book where the moon is in a very special position and it has very special abilities that it can cause and create something. And I just really don't want to go into that right now because that's for the further stories.
The story element. Speaking of story elements, people who are smarter than I am and are more read than I am want to know, when did Red propose and did he do it with a braided cabbage ring? I hope that means something to you.
Yeah, I totally have that like braided cabbage ring on all my fingers. Perotta has been dreaming about this. I don't know ever since when, but no, he did not propose.
Not yet. We'll
Oh. Yeah, you know what? Ask him. I asked him. Why should I ask him that?
Well, maybe he'll watch the shows. And
Maybe.
Oh, I'm supposed to be doing this.
Well, if it's gonna be based on a show and based on what Perotta told him, then bless my soul.
well, Red, if you're watching this replay right now, get a hold of me in a DM. We can schedule this where you can do it on a live stream. You can surprise Nyriam by popping in on one of our live streams and just doing it, because she says it in front of all of 6 or 7 people. Then she has to say yes, right?
Wow, not pressure at all. Not pressure at all.
No pressure at all. I've seen several werewolf movies growing up, of course, and read some books. I wasn't really a werewolf reader, but there was one short story that Ursula K. Le Guin did called "The Wife's Story." And I don't know if you're familiar with that one. It was I talk about this with people who are werewolf writers all the time because I'm like, oh, you got to read this story, and I think it's available online. But it's told from this wife's point of view, where she's like, hey, my husband's acting odd. When he comes home, he smells different. There's a weirdness about him. And then one time I rolled over and he thought I was asleep, and I opened my eyes and I saw him rise up from the bed, and his body stretched out, and his forearms changed and the hair receded. And what you realize is that the wife is a wolf and her husband's a werewolf, but he's changing into the man form. So it's like a were-man kind of thing.
Oh, okay. That's a very interesting take that I didn't actually expect. I was listening to how you described it, and I was trying to imagine it in my head. I probably skipped a sentence or two.
Yeah,
but
the whole time that the husband's a werewolf and that the wife is kind of onto him, but you never figure out until the end that the wife is a wolf and she's talking about the other way of transforming.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's really cool.
And then they chase him down and kill him because he's a monster now. Wow,
yeah, that's a totally different take on a whole story. But I like the opposite, style. Yeah, wolves in my story, they don't do the half human form at all.
So they're straight into four-legged canine, not
you
not
just
the
crack a
wolf
few
man.
bones and suddenly you pop as a wolf, and honestly, like, all of them live in one community. So that's I was actually expecting you with that story to go like a woman, wife is sleeping in a bed and she finally realizes that her husband is a werewolf. But never mind, we're already far away from that. That's why I wanted to say that over here it really can't happen because all the werewolves are living in a same place, so everybody knows who they are.
Which makes sense because wolves are pack animals. They're not.
Yes.
They congregate, and I think they did a similar thing in True Blood, where
honestly you're probably gonna catch me off with this one because I've learned about many werewolves movies later on, and I've actively tried to avoid them because I'm trying to I've heard about this Teen Wolf. Everybody started to tell me you need to watch Teen Wolf, you need to do this, and I really wanted to, but I really can't because I'm very easily influenced by things that it gets me hyped up, and I don't want to take somebody else's idea, I put it in my story just because I liked it there, So I've heard about True Blood. I do believe that I started watching it. I think I started watching the second episode, and then I had to turn it off because first of all, it really didn't catch my soul. But the other reason was this. Yeah. I'm running it for you, right?
No, you're not at all. Herwenberg says that he's familiar with the Le Guin stories from the Compass Rose short story collection. It would be a great film, but I think if it was a film, you'd see right away she was a wolf. So she used the trick of literature of subverting expectations, but doing it the right way.
Yeah.
Because if you're a human reader, and hopefully most of us are, you're reading this story and you've anthropomorphized all the characters as humans. And now you've got this short circuit that happens in your brain. You're like, wait, what? And you've got to go back to the beginning and do it again.
Yeah.
So what are the wolves like in Bonds?
I'm actually super happy that you touched the area that wolves are pack animals because that's another thing that I say very often. It's known, but I don't have too much time to talk about it. Is that my wolves live in a secluded area? It's a fantasy created like a fictional peninsula somewhere in a real world. So you will probably hear names like New York, San Francisco, whatever. but they're living their own lives, like if you can imagine peninsula, it has like a very thin neck, and then it like expands to a huge land, not a huge land, but fairly big land, right? And the area is divided into like 5 packs, like some of them are bigger, some of them are smaller. One of them is artificially created because the 4 of them were original founders. But as people started like trespassing, to their land, and they had to like kick out people and rogue wolves every now and then, they didn't like it. So they artificially created a 5th one, which is our main heroine's pack, which serves for the sole purpose of defending the rest. So yeah, those are my werewolves pretty much. They live each on their own. From time to time, they meet up in a city called Sapphire City, which is a land of none and land of everyone. Besides that, there are only like few points where you can trespass, because we know that wolves are very territorial, right? So if you need to meet about some very important matter, you have the city or you have the so-called safe roads. But besides that, they're living their own life, within a pack. They hunt, they family, they train. They just do their stuff, That's and of course within the pack, there is another like a type of a hierarchy. You have the leader of the pack, which is called Alpha. His wife is Luna. Then you have some other ranks. Like there are a bunch of ranks based on Greek alphabet that many others are using, but I decided to use only some of them. Mostly for now, I'm using Zeta, who is the pack general or trainer or mentor. Because he's great with communication and training young fighters who are called etas, and so on. Yeah, there's gonna be a few more ranks coming in, and the title of Alpha is usually like male. That's a male domain, and that's why this story is a little bit different, because our main heroine, who is a teenage girl, just like, she built her mind that, yeah, I'm going to do this and I'm going to become the alpha and I'm just going to like put everybody on their asses. And so far she's been failing hard time, because like I'm trying not to make my characters Mary Sue's, but I'm actually like, okay, here's a little bit of effort. You didn't do enough. Tough titties. You're just going to fail.
Yeah.
So... but she has a very good reason. She's trying to protect her brother because their parents have been killed, and she hasn't been left with much, and she doesn't want to lose the little that she was left with.
So this village is all werewolves. Why would they not just be wolves all the time if they're living together? Why would you ever shift back to human form unless it was to interact with humans? And if there are no humans there, where are they more comfortable?
Honestly, it's called the best of all worlds, best of both worlds. Because if you're in a human form, you have a chance to interact with maybe even the human race. You can use the spoils of being a human. They are used to our modern world like we are. They have houses, they have couches, they have TVs, they have phones, they have all the modern, technology which they wouldn't be able to use as wolves. But of course, like when they want to just roam around, when they want to, feel the wind swirling around their head, that's when they shift to the wolf. That's when they become their primal selves, and best of both worlds.
I'm laughing inside because I'm thinking of the different generations of wolves and werewolves, and old grandpa saying, "Need to send a message to the next town. I'm going to start a howl chain." And granddaughter says, "I'm just going to send a text, Grandpa. Okay."
Yeah, that's actually a good joke. I might actually use it for some kind of
like, it and go with it. Yes.
Yeah, some kind of like
mini run. Oh, it's a 5-day run over the mountain. We have a car. It goes 70 miles an hour.
Yeah. Honestly, you just nailed you just nailed it, because there is an instant where we learned that Grandpa is a very old-fashioned type of person. Grandpa is the person who's running the pack for now, because like Lena's parents have been the leaders of the pack previously, but since they've been killed and there is no like successor yet, they like the grandparents taken over back, for a short while, and grandfather is actually the type of a person who would rather write letters, official letters and so on, rather than sending an email or a text message. So yeah, he's still very old-fashioned way.
And I guess one of the other advantages of being a werewolf with with the human qualities, wolves live less than 20 years in a natural lifespan.
Yes, over here it counts more for the human like lifespan.
So I can't imagine that they'd be like dropping off as humans at 16 years old with litters of pups behind them.
That would be a very interesting take, but I really don't think that comic would like do well. Mostly with the last sentence of the litters of.
Well, and that throws another question in my head, because just like is the reproductive? Do werewolves produce werewolves? First of all,
yes.
So it's genetic. They produce Papa werewolf and Mama werewolf. They have a special hug, and then baby werewolf.
Actually, there are multiple ways. If you have like two werewolves producing an offspring, it's gonna be a werewolf. Often it can happen because how it works in my world, you are given your destined mate. So it's only up to you to find her, find him, whatever, right?
Okay.
When you meet that person, instantly, because you feel it. You just feel it on the insides. The wolves know immediately, and it's just such a strong, inseparable bond, that you just feel it. But sometimes what may happen is that you get bonded to a human for some reason, for some divine reasons, like you need to learn a lesson or something, right? And when that happens, usually the offsprings are a combination, so it's already a mixed breed. That's one thing that also happens in the story. And the third way how you can become a werewolf is actually being bitten, but you need to be bitten by like a very special type of a wolf. If a random wolf bites you, it won't cause the transformation. Over in my story, I'm taking on an idea that only few are going to be given the option.
And the other thing that I'm thinking about is whether you're bonded to a human or to a werewolf. If you're a female werewolf, do the werewolf families generally have multiple children of the same age? Do you have triplets and quadruplets? Because werewolves produce litters. They don't, do single childs like we do most of the time.
I'm actually taking on this in the human perspective, because when the children are being born in my universe, they are being born as human babies, and they stay as human children till their 10th year of age. That's when they first undergo their first transformation into a full wolf, because it's very
puberty kind of level. Makes sense.
Not even like puberty, but it's very, very painful experience for the first time. You can even like faint from pain, and that's why like they are doing it in a little bit later age.
I'm just picturing Daddy Werewolf sitting down with his son. Says, "Son, you're 10 now. I want to tell you something. You're going to start growing hair in places that you never had it before, and you're going to start feeling."
Yeah, that's actually a pretty funny joke too. But no, it's all actually the other way around. Like the children can see other wolves just running around, and they know what's going on. And they are just like very excited because they can't wait till it happens to them for the first time, till they actually try it.
Kind of like that girl on Wednesday. She's been waiting to wolf out her whole life, like her brothers and sisters. If you saw the Wednesday series, which
she was a poor thing, but she was actually one of my favorite characters there. She had amazing growth there.
Yeah, I liked her too, because she was light, but she was a werewolf. And yet she was wearing pink and just
she was different. It was originally I didn't have like big expectations when I saw her character for the first time. I thought it was some kind of like woke scream for attention again, like the movies and TV shows recently that do. Yeah. but it was so refreshing to see that she was like this typical girly, like she likes to color her thing, like paint her nails, and
Listen to the pop music and just kind of bounce
yes,
around and
yes,
be
that
fun.
she's actually like, I don't even want to say it, like, but normal,
Yeah, she
Yeah,
was.
yeah, she was like normal, and yet she was a werewolf, and it was so beautiful. I loved it. Yeah.
Well, what's let's talk about this book in particular here, Cursed Child, so we can tell the readers what they can
Mhm.
expect from this, and what the confrontation is, what the antagonism is that they have to overcome.
Honestly, as I mentioned earlier, Bounce is a one long, complex story that is divided into chapters. So to understand story two, you need to know a little bit about story one. That's why it's best to have like all of them in as they go out. And well, basically, the first one we learn about the Great Wolf War, where Lena loses her parents, right? She's left with her brother, and she determines her goal for the future. She wants to become the pack leader so she can protect people that she loves. Of course, like her grandparents aren't very excited by this. But towards the end of the book, her pleas are being heard, and she's going to start training along with Jesse, because there are some other facts popping up towards the end of the first book that might like determine the fact that if you're trained, you can survive. So in this book, we focus on their training. There's going to be a training montage, because why not? Like an action movie where you fight without training montage isn't a movie at all. So there's
Yeah.
going to be that. There's going to be a lot of wolf action, because like in the last book, I didn't do as much as I want to, and I decided to compensate a little bit for this one, so we can actually see the wolves fighting wolves in danger. And of course, like, she is like 15 years old. She's a teenager, so she is gonna, of course, wander into places where she shouldn't, and that's gonna bring her into trouble. That's pretty much towards the end of the book. But generally, second book is focusing on the fact that as she starts training, she notices that there's this newcomer to the pack that she hasn't seen before. And there are rumors going around him that he could be potentially very dangerous for the pack. It's either or. Either he's dangerous or the whole thing is safe, and she needs to figure out, because there's a lot in the game. She, like, her brother just started training, wandering around these people, and who knows, what if he's something that could hurt him or kill him, and she doesn't want that. She can have that. So that's her goal for this book.
Now I noticed she's doing all this training as a human,
Yes.
but does your human trained form translate into how well your wolf form?
Actually, yes, it does, but your wolf form is always more like capable, stronger, faster than your human form, no matter what you do. The reason why she trains in her human form is that Jesse didn't undergo his first transformation yet. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to adjust the training so both of them they can keep up, because okay, they see this training of older boys and they're like all excited, like, this is so cool, let's do it too. We want to do backflips, and we want to do punches and roundhouse kicks. I'm just like making it a little bit up so I don't spoil too much from the book. But then they get the first training with their mentor, and he's like, nah, you're not there. You're gonna be doing a core round training, the circle trainings, and you're gonna be happy that you're happy. So yeah, for now they're kids. They haven't been trained. They are fairly weak, so they couldn't defend themselves. Like, their wolves are stronger than their human part, but not there yet.
Okay, so I'm reading along here, and I see that Jesse, her younger brother, he's the official future alpha of the pack.
Yes.
So it's a passed down thing, like royalty.
Yes, unless you grow the balls or grow the guts and decide that you want to challenge the alpha, because you can do that. You can officially do that. You come to the office and say, like, dude, you're not doing your job right. I'm challenging you. You know, there's of course that like wolf lockdown, like you lock your eyes with your opponent and the wolves know what's going on, and there's a fight. You either win or lose, you either live or die, and there can only be one alpha.
Like a Highlander.
Yes.
So if Lena is training to be the alpha, and her brother is the official future alpha, that means that their father's the alpha. That's the long way I'm getting here. So she's preparing to fight her father?
Not really. Like, it's either or. It can either be passed down, or if you're not in the bloodline, and if you're not in the line of succeeding, you can challenge them. Let's say you're Alpha's right hand, you're his best friend, but suddenly something happens and he turns like sour, he's not doing his job right, and you care, so you come to his office and you challenge him, right? You can either become an alpha by family, by the hierarchy, or you can become by force.
So what is Lena's plan? Force or hierarchy?
Lena's plan is actually right now to persuade Grandpa that the male tradition, the male successor tradition is bullshit, and that she has the same rights to become, or at least compete for the title of alpha as Jessie, if she proves strong and capable enough. And that's where she's like striving to get to, like she's working hard. And we have a question in the chat, like, do the wolves have human enemies or hunters? I really wanted to address this question for a long time, because that's actually the first time anybody asks. And yes, they do have human enemies. The war that happened, that pretty much started the whole story, was when some other packs from out of Peninsula joined some human forces, and they went against the Peninsula residents, because that's a rich and peaceful country. They know how to keep their stuff together. They're fully self-sufficient, and some are like jealous of that, like how come we don't have what you have, we want that too, and you have a war. So yes.
So when with traditional films that I've seen, we'll just say, with Twilight, with Underworld, with True Blood, once you get one monster, they all come out of the woodwork. So, when we had True Blood, like, oh, it's about vampires. No, it's about vampires and werewolves. No, it's about vampires and were-creatures. No, it's about vampires and werewolves and fairies. Oh, my. Do you stick with wolves, or are you in a world where things expand to other sorts of shapeshifters and lycanthropes?
They are the only type of a skinwalker that I have in a story, that is true. But I'm just going to throw it like in this way. There is an island next to the peninsula that is called Witch Island for some reason.
Oh, okay then. Doors are open. Things might happen.
Things might happen.
Okay, you heard it here first, folks. You've heard it somewhere else, but she admitted it here. So.
I did.
So what are the tiers that we're looking at here? This is you get some mini prints with this one. You got these 6x9. That's a good size. You can always find space on the wall for a 6x9. Are you your own artist?
Yes.
Okay, so all of this is all you all the way through.
Yes, except the Exiled short story that we're gonna reach on a page soon, which was written by Red Gaze. And the whole story is just like amazing. It expands. It's an origin story that expands on one of the characters, actually the cursed child. And I gave Red just a very brief description, like a skeleton of what I want to happen, who the person is, where he comes from, and abilities. And he came back to me with amazing 22 pages of a full content story that just took my breath away. So I just decided to illustrate it, and we put it together as a book. So it's like a supplemental book to some tiers. Some tiers have it, some don't. We try to build our tiers so everybody can choose whatever they want. We even added all 3 books as a perk. So if you want to do like some kind of combination, you're free to do it. Completely up to you.
What I've seen some people do is they create a tier with nothing, and it's literally a nothing tier, but it's a physical tier. So you're paying the $10 shipping, and then that opens up and unlocks the add-ons, and then people can just add on to the nothing, their own build a tier kind of thing.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
So you got some sketch cards here. These are look like they're trading card size, and these are traditional art, people. So these are each one's one of a kind, I take it.
Yes, and I was trying to make sure that each one actually looks like one of a kind, so there are not two that resemble each other.
And then you have some 8.5 by 11 pictures here that people can get on their tiers. Oh, you're doing. Are you doing colored pencil, or what's your medium here?
Yeah, I actually tried Copic markers for the first time in my life, and I liked how it came out. So I just decided to do something for Bonds too. And since our siblings are the main characters, it would be only appropriate to do them. Yeah, I'm probably going to try to do some more wolves next time when I manage to catch up on some sleep.
Yes, yeah, I hear you. You got some book interior art pieces. Vinny Tartamella is doing a pinup in here.
Yes.
boldcatstudios.
Yes, those are artworks that have been created before when the campaign 1 was launching. But honestly, I was so all over the place back then that I didn't pay too much attention. And I just realized that those are such great artworks, and I didn't pay like proper thank you to all these great people that contributed to Bonds, that I just decided to ask them and like throw it as an inside of the cover. You know, like those are white pages anyway, so why not?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's the Exile story.
So you got some stretch goals here. And where are we at on stretch goals? We are at, well, you're at 82.15 US dollars, over 4 times the goal. And we haven't reloaded. Let's reload it and embarrass me to see that anything has happened or if nothing has happened. It's a nothing has happened.
That's really okay. You know why? Because I think we have kind of been shadow banned recently with the campaign because it is stalling a little bit. It's just nudging. It's just budging. But I really don't mind. I'm super happy for each backer. You know, I'm going to be doing fulfillment myself. So if it actually got to 500 books as last time, I would be already pulling my hair out. But I'm happy because at least with this campaign, I'm really seeing after the last campaign, which did great. But now I can see like which people loved Bonds and came back for more. You know, this is like a true. And
well, I can say you're not being shadow banned because I was able to do a search and find the book. So that came up quickly. I think you're just in that plateau period of any campaign where until the last 3 days, then it'll spike up again as people say, it's almost over. I got to get in.
Yeah, I just heard that the campaigns are getting shadow banned a little bit.
They are, but it's easy to tell if you have been. If it doesn't come back on a search, you're shadow banned.
Mm-hmm.
CH83 would like to know, is this digital or do you do everything traditional pen and ink?
The comic is done digitally because I just prefer to have my iPad on me everywhere I go. So people can often see me sitting on a tram drawing a Bonds page. You know, that's a normal thing for me. But I'm all around. Like I can do traditional as well. And I would like to point out one of the tiers, which is called Wolf Yourself. It's towards the bottom. It's a little bit more expensive, but we decided to come up with a very, very creative type of a tier where you can become a wolf of the peninsula and you're drawn as your human form and you're drawn with your wolf traditionally on a paper. You know, I created this fillable form where you basically like give your stats, you give your name, your hair color, your fur color, some if you have a tattoo or you're wearing glasses, you know, all the information can go in there. It goes back to me and I draw it on a paper with markers, you know, so it's nice and black and white with everything, a little bit touch of background so it has the atmosphere. I shove it back to computer. I color it up like digitally and I add all the stats that you wrote and create like a very custom character sheet of Bonds where you can even choose the affiliation to one of the 5 packs that we have on Peninsula. I print that character sheet out and along with the traditional art, it goes into a beautiful box like this.
Oh, let me give you the full layout here. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's gorgeous.
Yeah, but we're gonna be doing a box like this, but with the newest cover on top this time, and all of that is gonna be like packed sorry, in this like a package and sent to the owner. So for that price, you're getting like bonds, the supplemental exiled story, 2 mini prints, all the stretch goals, a traditional art piece of a 6x9-ish size, maybe a little bit bigger, and a digital. A printed character sheet, and I'm gonna be sending the character sheet by the email as well if you wanted to print it on a bigger size or something.
That is a really good price, actually, because I've seen, a lot of tiers where you get the you get yourself drawn in kind of thing, but they don't come with the original artwork. And they usually cost $200 and upward to have it done.
I was actually thinking of doing the drawing tier, but as I went over this book, I didn't have a character where the person would appear in a more meaningful role or more often, and I just didn't want to do it to people, like pay big amounts of money, for popping on a one page. That's unfair.
I understand. So we're looking at some of the sample pages here. We can see there's Lena's training.
Yes.
And she's pretty superhuman as a human.
They have enhanced abilities already as they are. You just get born with it. You have you're stronger than a normal human. You're faster than a normal human. You don't suffer from diseases. That's going to play a very important part of a story for the future. I'm trying to think. Yeah, your metabolism is faster. Your body is generally more resilient to anything. When you get injured, you heal. That's an interesting take I did for my wolves though. Like if you get injured, like you get shot by a hunter or whatever, you can heal, but as a wolf. Like when you're in your wolf form, you heal faster. If you're in your human form, you just heal, but it takes a little bit longer. You definitely heal faster than a normal human, but still fairly slow.
I love this. They're pushing the barrel back and forth. The trainer, what's he doing? He's just sitting there. So,
he's just sitting there. He's
doing it wrong.
Yeah, he's a kind of funny guy, but they're at a stage where he's not willing to give them everything free, He needs to, because he needs to confirm for himself that they're worth investing all his time. And yeah, he's a type of a guy.
And then we have just running along as a wolf, and what happens? You get attacked by another wolf. That's life in the wild there.
That's life in the wild. That's what you get for listening where you're not supposed to go.
All right, so we're approaching the top of the hour here. I didn't go over all the different tiers because people, you can read that for yourself. What you want to see was the art and what you're going to get.
Yes.
To the book itself, I didn't ask because I saw it up here. But then I failed to say it. How big it is? How big is this book? 77 pages, I want to say?
77 pages, yes. Each chapter has its own introduction, though, so you can make it a little bit shorter. But we're going to be expanding it by the art. If we manage to reach the 10 grands, we're going to be doing the Mudman mini comics, which we learned by the end of the first book that little Jesse is a huge fan of comic books himself. So we're doing a Matryoshka. We're doing the Russian doll comic within a comic.
Love that. I love when medium has its own medium and then that medium breaks out and becomes real medium.
Yeah.
You're very close to that happening. You're at 82:15, folks. Every little bit helps. I know there's 27 days left. Is this 3 days old or is this into its second 30 days? How long have you been running?
This is the second 30 days. Yes, we already prolonged, and with that, the new traditional with the markers came out, and we also added the artworks that are going to be imprinted in the book. So yeah, and just a detail about the tiers: what you see in the thumbnail is what you're getting, so no confusion.
Yeah, that's what it's there for. Kickstarter. who doesn't let you do one. So yeah, just put everything's right up here. I'm going to be checking into this. I have not had the opportunity to read any bonds yet, and it's shown through this interview. But that also means that I get to ask all the questions that everybody else who hasn't read it yet.
And you're asking different questions, which is like very surprising and very refreshing at the same time.
Well, like I said, I come in completely unprepared and ignorant on purpose, so that I'm learning everything just as well as a new reader would. So,
awesome.
As I said up front, folks, and if you're watching us on the replay, if this has intrigued you at this point, the link is right below the video. Click on it, go straight to Indiegogo. You got a little bit less than a month. And
you're not gonna be disappointed. What we're doing, first of all, and one more important thing that I would like to say is the book is done. So no more like touching up. I'm doing like some final pages of lettering, and that like we're pretty much just waiting for the book to the campaign to go in demand, and it's gonna stay in demand till the books are printed, till we have everything in our place. We're ready to start fulfilling, and the books are going out. The date on the page is August, but it's definitely gonna be sooner.
Okay. And for people who missed the first one, is there an opportunity to get first chapter?
Yes, there is a catch-up tier called Teen Wolf in the digital form, and there is a Double Howl tier, which is a physical one.
Okay, that's. There's no reason now not to get into this. If you thought you were just going to be lost coming in, no, you can start from the beginning. So get those tiers, folks. Nyriam, thank you so much for coming on the show tonight and sharing this with us. Do appreciate finally getting to meet you. Like I said, I've seen everyone saying, "Oh yeah, Nyriam's doing this. This is great." I'm like, who? What?
Yeah, I know. And honestly, I've been a little bit off of the radar for the past year, with the day job. I was really just trying to get this book done, because we do it the other way around. We finish the product, then we offer it to people. So that's what I've been doing. And when you are doing all of that, you just don't have time to constantly promote, to constantly stream. It's just very exhausting.
But you don't have anybody that you're waiting on either.
But I'm going to try to do better.
Well, folks, as we leave off here, if you're looking for the next show to go to, jump on over to the mic stand over with Mike Walters, where he goes through the niche news of the day, including everything about comics, manga, and professional wrestling. So it will catch you up on everything. He will be reading a story from criticalblast.com today as well. So I'm not going to tell you what it is. You'll just have to go over there and see it.
Awesome.
Everybody in the chat, thank you so much for being here tonight. We don't have a show without you. We're just a podcast falling in the woods otherwise. And as I always say, while you were here, just hope you had a blast. Good night.